Question for Mr. Hauge. Kitsap County has unsuccessfully defended violations of the Public Records Act, costing the county over $50,000 in staff compensation and resulting in over $332,000 in assessed penalties during your term. How do you justify the $382,000 loss to the county?
Well, there really is no justification. This is the circumstances, the last one that we had. There was we were actually third parties to a request from some private agencies for information about the town residents of county employees. The unions or bargaining units representing those employees went to court, got a restraining order. We stood in the sidelines. Well, I was supporting my employees. They wanted to keep their information confidential. I thought that was their right. The Superior Court ordered that the information not be disclosed. That order was later reversed by a court of appeals, and the current state of the law is that notwithstanding your taking steps under a valid court order of court of lower jurisdiction, you still have to pay the penalties if you're reversed at the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court. So it's a system that is irrational at best.
Thank you. Bruce, would you like to comment on the concept?
Yes, certainly. This indicates to me that there's been a lack of a comprehensive review of these requests to ensure that we are complying. It's not just one case. The list I was provided indicates, I believe, approximately 11 cases. So throughout the years, the county prosecutor's office has shown a pattern of disregard for legitimate public records requests. And it's our duty as the prosecutor to provide that information to the citizens. We don't represent just the county government, as it would almost be implied. That we have a duty to disclose this information and to disclose it in a timely fashion to avoid these type of penalties.
Thank you. So now, staying on some specific topic items, and this one goes back to Bruce. What do you consider to be the most effective interventions in response to juvenile crime?
That's a broad question in that, depending on what if you're dealing with a drug addict, certainly treatment, but that it can't just be treatment alone, because in my experience, a lot of times the juveniles that they're coming from a very rough background, a very dysfunctional family. Many things we can't do. We can't change your parents. We can't make you have better friends, but we can try to lead you a different path. So counseling, I believe, has a very legitimate role in dealing with juvenile offenders. I will qualify that by saying there are a lot of juvenile offenders that I would prosecute as adults because they're dangerous to our community. Not every kid is just a kid.
Thank you.
Juvenile punishment is defined as a separate realm of the law by the legislature. We're supposed to focus on rehabilitation. First offenses, misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors for juveniles, are diverted mandatorily. We have to divert those kids out of the system. It's shown to be a good program. 80% of the kids we divert out of the system, we never see again. If we do see repeat offenders, then we have in place a system of graduated sanctions. Unfortunately, the legislature's had to close down one of the few facilities that we have to incarcerate serious juvenile violent offenders, a place where they can receive some treatment or whatever treatment's available, and also incapacitate them. The rehabilitative focus is appropriate. However, the legislature is going to have to back that up with some more resources if we're going to protect the community.
Thank you. And back to you, Russ. How would you interpret and enforce Washington's firearms open carry provision?
the open carry provision is the state of the law, that we've not had an issue with it ever.
We have had an issue with it, the county administration building, not the courthouse. It's very clear on its face what it says. This is an open carry state. As long as you're not menacing with a gun, you're allowed to carry.
Okay, thank you. So back to you, Bruce, another specific question. Will you bring about an end to creating criminals by classification, such as classifying a couple having a vocal, not physical, argument as domestic violence? This is a couple questions on this, such as mandatory arrest for domestic violence offenders. Do you believe it stands on that? So this is classifying criminals.
I have trouble with the mandatory arrest. I understand what the legislature's trying to do, but it's gross overkill. When I was doing criminal defense, I remember standing in the courthouse reading a pamphlet, and it said, domestic violence is when somebody gives you an angry look. Well, I would probably have domestic violence in our house every once in a while when I spend money on something I shouldn't have spent money on. So I have trouble with going over the top when verbal altercations, happens in any normal marriage, and somebody panics, they call the police, and having somebody arrested each time, I find that to be disruptive. I find that if somebody's whacking, male or female, on the other person, and there's physical violence, yes, take them out of the home, put them under arrest. But, you know, maybe we've gone too far with this concept.
Well, the current state of the law does require mandatory arrest if there is probable cause to believe that an actual assault has occurred, and I support that. Domestic violence is, if not the primary cause, one of the primary reasons. Well, we call our domestic violence enforcement unit the homicide prevention unit, because that's the kind of pressure cooker where ends up people killing people. The other thing, the reason I don't have a problem with mandatory arrest is this. I have arguments with my wife all the time. My friends have arguments with their wives, their husbands. But I've never had the police called to my house. That's a distinguishing factor here that we have to remember. It's only mandatory arrest if the conflict escalates to the point where the police are called to your home, either by one half of the dispute or by your neighbors.